To absolutely be like, Stars, I'm still super humble. 50 and Courtney, I'll thank you forever. But all of them know he didn't really make no money. They know it before I know it.
That's crazy to me.
Because they're higher up in the company. But whatever has happened to this character Ghost, whether he's dead or still alive, this man who played that man absolutely has been now hired more on the Netflix world.
Crazy.
Or by the Netflix world family than I have by Stars. Stars I had 6.5 years, but I've almost done freaking 6 movies in only 2 years with Netflix.
I was off in my prediction about Ghost appearing in this episode. And the reason that didn't happen is because, hey everyone, Just Be here, and I am breaking down season 2, episode 5 of Power Book 4 Force, aka The Tommy Show. We're diving straight into this particular episode titled Crown Vic. And let me first start off with addressing in my last video, which so many of you commented and so many of you responded to, where I predicted a couple of things, but the biggest one was that due to the clues being given to us, we were going to see Ghost appear in this episode. Now, I'm going to be the first one to say I was wrong. I was off. And now I know for future reference to cool it with the Ghost references and hoping he's going to come back. Now, mind you, my expectation was always the fact that if he was going to appear, it would be a flashback that we didn't see before, or it's going to be a phone call, it's going to be a letter with a voiceover, with him, or it's going to be something whereas, he's in a wheelchair or he's in the hospital bed, but it ain't going to be Ghost standing upright, walking around, not after that big fall. But I just want to, before you guys come for me in the comments and say, I knew you would. Nah, listen, guys, I admit it. All right. I admit it. So now I know to reel back the expectation moving forward about this character. Here's what I want to show you guys before we dive into the breakdown.
To absolutely be like, Stars, I'm still super humble. 50 and Courtney, I'll thank you forever. But all of them know he didn't really make no money. They know it before I know it.
That's crazy to me.
Because they're higher up in the company. But whatever has happened to this character Ghost, whether he's dead or still alive, this man who played that man absolutely has been now hired more on the Netflix world.
Crazy.
Or by the Netflix world family than I have by Stars. Stars I had 6.5 years, but I've almost done freaking 6 movies in only 2 years with Netflix.
So what he's saying here is, in order for him, and I've done videos about this in the past, but just so we know now that all the clues we found out that was false. The clues wasn't actually clues. In order for this man to come back in any form or fashion on this show, the money gotta be right. The money has got to be right. This is just an interview of him just last May talking about it. All the other videos I did were more recent interviews, but if the money ain't right, he ain't coming back. And clearly, even though Joseph Sikora, he alluded that this was going to happen, we read into it in this post. He didn't say it, but we read into it. We just kind of following clues and then the trailer. Now we know. So, guys, it is what it is. My expectations now are very, very low for ever seeing him come back on Power in any kind of way. And if the money ain't right, it's not happening. But let's dive into this episode of Book 4 Force. Now, my predictions about a couple of things in this episode, other predictions, were actually very spot on. I want to highlight what those ones were right now. Hold on real quickly. You guys want to see something crazy? Over 99% of you guys that watch my content are not subscribed. So I'm asking real quickly, if you don't mind, just hit the like button and hit subscribe real quickly. I'd love to keep on giving this content to you guys, and lets me know that people actually are interested. Feel free to do that, man. Really appreciate it a lot. Would help me out a long way in growing my small channel. Thanks. Now back to the video. So let's talk about what's happening with Janard. I appreciate how they're building up his character to have multiple layers, right? It's not something that I caught early on in the season, but this episode really kind of brought it home. And the actor, Chris Lofton, who's been playing him, has been doing a great job stacking up those layers with his character. Janard is now a full-blown junkie. We have to now appreciate the ramifications of that moving forward, because that means he's not going to be able to properly run his organization. He's not going to be a reliable leader. He's not going to be someone where anyone wants to follow or respect, particularly because he's using the product. And we see here in the beginning part of the episode where he's with his crew and the guys are basically saying, listen, we need more product, but no one's willing to give it to you because they know you want that stuff. And then we see Janard just start acting out in this episode like he's going to the hood and he's robbing people that got supply, but he's also robbing people of their chains as well. And so this doesn't look good for someone who has money and someone who's doing well. It just kind of shows how he's down bad, like bad. And we also get a bit of an understanding as to, some insight into why it is he might be the way he is. In this episode, we come to find out that Diamond and Janard's dad is sick. And so he's in hospital and, he's dying. And so these might be their final moments with him. And through the conversation between their dad and Diamond, we come to find out he admits, listen, Janard's always been my favorite. So think about how now, if you were always the favorite child, that means there were always expectations put on you to do better, to be better, to not fail, to not mess up. So I think what we're now understanding the writers are trying to communicate to us is that Janard has had that baked into him his entire life, that expectation. And so now him leading CBI is very, very important to him, and he can't handle that. He's taken L's from the Serbs, he's taken L's from Miguel, he's taken L's from his brother, and so many different spots, and he's in this tight jam where he knows that he's been taught he has got to always be on his game. So the reason now he is using so much is because he has never been taught what it means to fail. So his coping mechanism is to use the product, is to get high. And it is not a good way to do things. And ultimately that's been giving him the opposite result of what he wanted. In the ending part of these scenes with the Sampson family, we come to now see where Janard and Diamond are now making up because their dad told Diamond on his dying bed, I want you to look out for your little brother. I want you guys to continue to be there for each other, even though I wasn't there for you. And so here is now the midway point of the season, and the how we started off with one side versus the other, breaking off from it. Now here comes the conflict I've been talking about. Diamond's going to have to make a choice sooner or later. Blood is blood at the end of the day. So I'm telling you, we're getting closer and closer to Diamond versus Tommy near the end of this season. I was hoping it would be more like next season, because you want to see them really solidify their relationship, their working relationship a lot more. But if he's going to now coming back into helping Janard get cleaned up, maybe kind of bringing things back and making peace, as we saw in the preview for the next episode, I don't think that's going to go down the way we think it's going to go down, because Tommy is not one to necessarily trust and make peace, especially when you've already, made a lot of foul moves. So look out for how this is going to play out between Janard, Tommy, and Diamond moving forward. Now, in the aftermath of the ending of the last episode, in which D-Mac took out your boy Seamus, the cop, he's freaking out, and Tommy is basically got to go on the defensive and try to protect his nephew. He wasn't able to protect Tariq the way he wanted to, but now he's got to go ahead and try to protect D-Mac. So he puts D-Mac on house arrest and tells him to stay low while he tries to figure things out. And Kate is trying to be the best grandma that she could be, making up for all the years that she wasn't there for JP, Tommy, and also now D-Mac. So she's like, listen, it looks like you want to go out and see that girl that you like. You just go ahead and get me something in the store. I'll take the rap for whatever it is. You take as long as you want. But unbeknownst to Kate, that's going to be the thing that causes her to pull further away from the relationships that she was already starting to build better with her sons. And eventually Tommy had to tell JP, listen, D-Mac messed up, right? He took out a cop. JP is infuriated and felt like Tommy should not have kept that from him. This is why he didn't want him anywhere near the game in the first place. And so now we got both of these brothers having to come together and figure out a way to protect D-Mac, because Diamond politely warns Tommy, listen, if you don't take care of D-Mac, I will. That's the rules of the streets. So Tommy, knowing the rules of the streets, he knows how it is. So he just like, okay, listen, I'll take care of it. Don't worry. So Tommy's plan was inevitably, they made it seem throughout the episode like he killed D-Mac. It's like, it's his nephew. Come on. But he shipped him off to a school, a private school, it looks like, whereas it's somewhere out in the country and he can't be anywhere near the city to get in any more problems. And I think that's the best thing for them to do with this character. It shows that protective side of Tommy, that part of him that really, really cares about his family, that really wants to, you know, and as much as possible protect and preserve what he has built so far with these individuals, because he, you know, we're at a part of the timeline whereas he don't got Tasha and he don't got Tariq's family anymore. This takes place before the season 3 finale of Ghost. So this is all he's got, and he wants to keep what he's got as much as he can. But the problem is JP and Tommy don't tell Kate what happened to D-Mac. They make it seem as if something bad did, like he's gone. They just keep saying he's gone, making it seem like he died or he got killed or something like that. So that causes Kate just to have a flip out and says she didn't raise animals. And they're like, well, you didn't raise us at all, really. The way now she goes to cope is by hitting the stuff again that she was sober from. And so, you know, it's sad to see that, because now we were finally being able to see this family come together, but and be a real unit. But now, you know, obviously we are not gonna have a happy ending at the end of this. And I believe that, like I said, you know, Kate might be next on the list as it relates to people who might not survive the season, because she's now back on the product. Her next move is more than likely to head back home to New York, because she feels as if her 2 kids are animals. And if they can do that to, you know, their son/nephew, man, what can they do to me? So she heads back to New York, I believe, in the next episode or 2, in order for it to line up with the season 3 finale of Ghost. Now, the prediction I did get right was the fact that, well, rest in peace, Paulie, and rest in peace, Walter Flynn. I knew at some point Walter was going to be the character of the main cast who was going to get taken out this season. And I did predict that it would be by Vic as well. I just didn't know that what they said they were going to do in the trailer, they actually were going to do it, right? That's odd when you see a promo say, we're going to take out this character who's a main cast member, and we actually go ahead and do it. So that's one of the things that threw the whole, you know, prediction off. But I knew, as I said in my previous videos, it was going to happen in this season. And surely it did. I mean, Walter went out guns blazing against the assassin from Dublin who was acquired by Brendan. He came through with the team, and the whole plan was for Claudia, Brendan, and Vic to strategically team up and get rid of Walter so that they can be able to run things. But the last second, the timing had to change for the plan to go down, and Claudia decided to not let Vic know that the time changed. And so Vic ended up being there, but to Vic's surprise, Paulie was also there too. So even though we tried to get Paulie out, I was like, when I saw that, this gonna be Paulie episode, isn't it? And then lo and behold, Paulie went out guns blazing, same with Walter. Vic had a last showdown with his dad, letting him know everything he felt about him, how he was responsible for killing Gloria. So now Vic is the individual that is the one with the biggest target on his back at this stage. After getting arrested earlier on in the episode, he's the one that now goes back to the cops and says, listen, yeah, you're reading it on the news, what went down, and it's correct. And I want protection, full immunity against my sister because I don't trust her because I knew what she did. So Stacey's like, you want immunity? I'll give you immunity. But what you're going to do is you're going to give us up everybody in the game that you've been working with. And so now we know how it goes in power. Snitches get what? Stitches. So he, i.e. Vic, I don't know if they're going to take out 2 Flynns in one season, but boy, I'll tell you, it ain't looking good for him long term, because now they're trying to get him to flip on Tommy and CBI and everybody else. So look for Vic to have probably a very short lifespan left on this, because the reality is that he doesn't have much of a purpose left on the show, right? He doesn't have aspirations or ambitions for anything. his whole thing was to get revenge for Gloria. He felt like his life was over after she was gone. And now that he took out his dad as that revenge, he doesn't really have much of a purpose left. He doesn't necessarily even want the organization that his father left behind. So I think my next prediction is that by the season finale, Vic might be on his way out as well. And that would leave Claudia as the person who is the de facto head of the Flynn family organization, which they would probably have to bring in some more people from the extended Flynn family to help balance that out and help her out in running the organization. A lot of emotions throughout this episode. It was really big, man. I wasn't expecting them to take out a big character like that, a main character, halfway through the season. That just shows us that with this particular show, there's a lot of unpredictability now. Some things aren't going to be as clear as they used to be if they're taking out main characters halfway through the season. So look out for anything to happen at this stage, guys. I don't know. What do you guys think about this episode? I mean, what did you guys feel about, number one, the prediction that I got wrong, the biggest one about Ghost? And then what do you think about the whole thing with Walter? Like him being gone, Paulie being gone. Like, it's a lot, man. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Help the boy out with the video. Until next time.